As I drove down the desolate, winding road on that eerie night, a chilling sense of unease engulfed me. The thick fog clung to the darkness like a shroud, obscuring the trees that loomed in the distance. The only companions in my car were the dim headlights and the haunting melody of rain tapping on the roof. My heart raced with every shadow that flickered across the road, and I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. My mind played tricks, conjuring images of spectral figures darting in and out of the mist. I gripped the steering wheel tightly, trying to convince myself it was just my imagination. Suddenly, the radio crackled to life, emitting an eerie static. I reached to turn it off, but a voice, sinister and cold, cut through the noise. "You're not alone," it whispered, sending shivers down my spine. Panic surged through me, and I tried to shake off the unsettling voice, but it persisted, growing louder with every passing second. As I pressed harder on the gas pedal, my headlights caught a figure standing motionless by the roadside. It was a ghostly woman in a torn white dress, her eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. Fear gripped me, yet I couldn't tear my eyes away from her haunting gaze. In a desperate attempt to escape the apparition, I swerved onto a narrow dirt path that seemed to appear out of nowhere. The path led me deeper into the forest, the trees closing in around me like gnarled hands. My breaths were shallow and rapid as the weight of the situation settled in. As I continued down the shadowy path, my car's headlights flickered and died. Panic took hold once again, leaving me stranded in absolute darkness. I fumbled for my phone, praying for a signal to call for help, but it too had no service. In the silence, I heard soft footsteps outside the car, and a dreadful feeling washed over me. Slowly, a face appeared at the window, pale and twisted with a malevolent grin. It was the same woman from the roadside, now hauntingly close. Paralyzed with fear, I could only watch as she raised her hand, her fingers morphing into long, sharp claws. My heart pounded in my chest as she scratched the window, leaving deep gouges. Her menacing laughter filled the air, piercing my soul. With a sudden burst of adrenaline, I managed to start the car and sped away from that nightmarish encounter. As I drove back onto the main road, the fog began to dissipate, and the radio returned to its normal channels. I knew I would never forget that terrifying night drive, haunted forever by the memory of the malevolent spirit lurking in the darkness, reminding me that some things are better left unseen, unheard, and unknown. The night was pitch black, and rain pounded against my windshield as I drove down an isolated, winding road. My heart raced, matching the rhythm of the thunder echoing through the dense forest. I had taken a shortcut to save time, but my instincts screamed that I was not alone. I turned on the radio for some distraction, but the only station that came through was broadcasting a strange, static-filled message. Fear crawled up my spine, and I focused on the road ahead, trying to shake off the unsettling feeling. As I rounded a curve, my headlights revealed a pale figure standing in the middle of the road. Panic gripped me, and I slammed on the brakes, narrowly avoiding a collision. The figure turned its head slowly, revealing hollow eyes that seemed to pierce through my soul. I was frozen with terror as it approached my car. In a desperate attempt to escape, I reversed, but the figure moved faster than humanly possible, blocking my path again. It reached out a skeletal hand, leaving streaks of grime on my window. I could feel its malevolent energy seeping into the car. Summoning all my courage, I honked the horn, hoping to scare it away. To my horror, the figure let out an ear-piercing scream that reverberated through the night. The car's electronics flickered, and the engine died. With dread building inside me, I grabbed my phone to call for help, but there was no signal. I was trapped, surrounded by darkness and the relentless rain. The figure circled the car, tapping on the windows with its elongated fingers, sending shivers down my spine. As a last resort, I stepped out of the car, praying to find help or escape this nightmare. The figure drew closer, its eerie glow illuminating its skeletal face. It spoke in a haunting whisper, recounting my deepest fears and regrets. My mind began to unravel, and I stumbled backward, tripping over an unseen root. As I fell, the figure lunged, its cold grip wrapping around my ankle. With a surge of adrenaline, I wrenched free and bolted into the forest. I ran blindly through the trees, branches scratching my face and the relentless rain soaking me to the bone. The haunting voice pursued me, blending with the howling wind. I thought I was lost forever until I stumbled upon a dilapidated cabin. Cautiously, I entered, praying for refuge. The cabin creaked with every gust of wind, but I felt an odd sense of safety within its walls. As I caught my breath, the voice faded, and the storm ceased outside. The cabin's interior was peculiar, filled with old paintings depicting ghastly scenes. In one frame, I saw the same figure that had haunted me, its twisted grin mocking my terror. My heart sank as I realized the truth. I was not the first victim of this malevolent spirit. Just then, the lights flickered and the room plunged into darkness. A haunting laughter filled the air, and the figure manifested before me once again. Trapped in this forsaken cabin, I knew there was no escape from the vengeful spirit that now claimed my soul. As I drove along the desolate highway, my headlights carved through the darkness, revealing an endless stretch of eerie silence. The radio emitted nothing but static, adding to the unsettling atmosphere. A storm brewed on the horizon, making the night even more sinister. A sense of foreboding washed over me as I felt a presence in the back seat, a chilling sensation like icy fingers on my neck. My heart pounded and I glanced in the rearview mirror, but the back seat appeared empty. I brushed it off as my imagination playing tricks on me. But then, a haunting melody filled the car, seemingly coming from nowhere. It was a tune I'd never heard before, captivating yet terrifying. My hands trembled on the steering wheel as I realized it wasn't from the radio. The melody was hauntingly ethereal, echoing through the vehicle. I tried to rationalize, blaming it on the storm or faulty speakers. Yet deep down, I knew it was something otherworldly. The melody grew louder, and I couldn't escape its grasp. Fear wrapped its icy tendrils around my heart. Then in the distance, a flickering light appeared, a lone figure standing at the roadside. A hitchhiker, I presumed, seeking shelter from the storm. Despite my apprehension, I couldn't leave them stranded in the darkness. As I approached, the figure revealed itself. A woman, her face obscured by shadow. Her clothes were drenched and she seemed fragile and lost. I hesitated, but compassion won, and I offered her a ride. She climbed into the passenger seat, her presence sending chills down my spine. The haunting melody intensified, growing louder and more dissonant. Panic gnawed at me as I realized it emanated from her very being. I mustered the courage to ask her name, but she remained silent, only smiling mysteriously. I felt a wave of dread wash over me, and the car's interior seemed to darken despite the headlights' glow. With each passing mile, the storm intensified, and the woman's aura grew more ominous. Her smile turned sinister, and her eyes glowed with an otherworldly hue. I was trapped in her presence, unable to escape the nightmarish reality unfolding before me. The melody reached a crescendo, sending vibrations through the car that rattled my bones. I tried to scream, but no sound escaped my lips. The woman's form contorted, morphing into a monstrous creature with elongated limbs and razor-sharp claws. I swerved off the road in terror, the car screeching to a halt. The creature loomed over me, its haunting melody now accompanied by a cacophony of unearthly voices. I closed my eyes, praying for salvation. Suddenly the car shook violently, and the storm's fury engulfed us. When I opened my eyes, the creature was gone, leaving me alone in the wreckage. The haunting melody ceased, and the radio returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. To this day, I can't explain what I encountered that night, but I'll never forget the terrifying night drive and the haunting melody that still echoes in my nightmares. As I drove down the desolate highway on that dark and stormy night, an eerie feeling washed over me. The rain splattered against the windshield and the wipers struggled to keep up with its relentless assault. The radio crackled with static, and the only sound that accompanied me was the haunting wind howling through the trees. My heart pounded in my chest, sensing an inexplicable presence lurking in the shadows. I tried to dismiss the feeling as mere paranoia, but as I glanced in my rearview mirror, my blood ran cold. A faint figure obscured by the rain and darkness appeared to be following me. I accelerated, hoping to leave my fears behind, but the figure matched my speed with an uncanny precision. Panic set in, and I fumbled to call for help, but my phone displayed no signal. It seemed as though I was trapped in this nightmare alone. My mind raced, recalling local legends of a malevolent spirit known as the Highway Ghost that preyed on lone drivers at night. The stories always spoke of a figure in tattered clothes, relentlessly pursuing its victims until it claimed their souls. With my heart pounding in my throat, I took a daring turn onto an old abandoned road, hoping to shake off the relentless pursuer. The road ahead was barely visible, and my headlights struggled to pierce the darkness. A chilling sensation crept up my spine as I felt an unseen force trying to steer the car off course. Suddenly, the car's engine sputtered and died, leaving me stranded in the pitch-black darkness. My heart pounded and I tried to restart the engine, but to no avail. A dim, flickering light appeared in the distance, and my eyes widened in horror as the figure materialized once more. With each step closer, the phantom's face became more defined, revealing a grotesque visage of hollow eyes and a sinister grin. Frozen with fear, I couldn't escape the inevitable as the ghostly figure reached for me. Just as its chilling fingers grazed my skin, the car's headlights flickered back to life and the engine roared to action. I wasted no time and sped away, leaving the malevolent spirit behind, disappearing into the night. To this day, I can't explain what I encountered that night, but the memory still haunts me. I will never forget the night drive that became a nightmarish journey into the unknown, forever etched in my mind as a chilling tale of terror and survival.